Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. So this one is about having a coach. And having a coach is a bit like sex in the sense that if you're not enjoying it, you're not doing it right. So if you have a coach and you're not enjoying it, something needs to change, I would suggest. Now, by enjoying, I don't necessarily mean that you're in a state of ecstasy and bliss the entire time. I mean, you feel good about it. It feels worthwhile. It feels beneficial. Overall, you're enjoying the process, even though there may be moments within it that are less fun than other moments where, you're hitting challenges or you find some distress or something, that is uncomfortable, bit of discomfort, I think is not the issue. But overall, you should be enjoying it. It should be feeling like a good experience for you overall. So if that's not the case, then my suggestion is that there's something should be done. So what could be done if you're not having a good experience with your coach? Okay, well, it could be that you're not with the right coach. It could be that you have, for some reason, decided to work with somebody where it's not a good fit. And sadly, this happens a lot. And I think one of the reasons that it happens is because of this expectation a lot of us have been taught to have, which is that if it's good for you, it's going to hurt. That a coaching relationship is supposed to be difficult and challenging and not fun. That if you really like the person or gel with them or there's a good chemistry between you, that it's not going to be a worthwhile coaching relationship. That the experience has to be difficult for it to be of value. Now, this is an old-fashioned, archaic psychological perspective, which is based on that idea: if it's not hurting, it's not doing you any good. And I think there were times when pretty much everyone believed that, but I think nowadays that most people don't actually believe that consciously when they really think about it. So when you go to the gym, there's a difference between working hard and feeling a stretch and feeling the muscles working and doing something where you're actually damaging yourself in a bad way. Now, some people say that you need to break down the muscle to some extent for it to grow back powerfully. And others say, no, that's not true. So I'm aware that there are some arguments around this. But I would say in relationship to coaching in particular, if what's happening is that you're being broken down, or if what's happening is there's actual damage happening, that's not good. That's not supposed to happen. So if that is happening, you may be with the wrong person. And it could be that you need to go back to one of the other people that you checked out when you first did your searching and screening process and select somebody where there's more of a natural connection and natural resonance between you. Another reason why it might not be working is because it could be that the coach you're working with is actually going through a difficult time and they should be taking a bit of time away from working as a coach. Now, this is an extreme situation because a good coach will be able to go through a difficult time, whether it's a divorce or the loss of a child or all kinds of possible really difficult personal things that can happen. A good coach will be able to navigate that and actually regulate themselves and be able to judge accurately whether or not they should be working with clients. And very often, yes, they should be working with clients because they're human, and their humanity is most of what allows them to be a really good coach in the first place. So generally that shouldn't be happening, but there may be a possible case where your coach is not regulating well enough and they'd be better off taking a break, and you'd be better off either taking a break or working with someone else, even if only temporarily. But commonly, if someone is not enjoying their relationship with their coach and the work, commonly it's because they are not making the best use of the opportunity. So that could be they haven't actually asked for what it is that they really want and need. This is extremely common. Again, we have this psychological mindset that thinks that we have to somehow maneuver to get what we need from our coach, rather than simply asking for what we want. Because many of us have been taught not to ask for what we want, to believe that if we really do that, we're going to make ourselves far too vulnerable and put ourselves in the power of the other person, and we mustn't do it. To the extent that many of us actually have been taught to not even be conscious of what we truly want, and then it becomes impossible to ask for it. And I think some of us have had the experience of, maybe in a personal relationship, asking for what we want and then being mocked or ridiculed or abused in response to that. Now, that's an incredibly traumatic experience, and that can put us off asking for what we want forever in some cases. So if you're not really happy in getting what you need from your coaching relationship, maybe ask yourself, have I really asked for what I really, really want? The most common thing that people want from a coach is to be heard and to have a space to simply be who they are. That's the most common actual need. But it's amazing how rarely that's what is actually asked for. It's astonishing, really, given that's the most widespread actual need, actual requirement. And why do we not ask for that? Well, we think it's too basic. We think it's not a good enough reason to be with a coach. We think we have to come up with something more clever, more intelligent, more impressive. It could, if that's really what you need and what you want from your coach, have you asked for that? Have you said, look, all I need is for you just to listen to me and just let me be who I am and just give me the space for that and just let me be heard? Maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's what you want. Because actually, if you think about it, if we're getting that in our lives, if we're feeling heard, if we're feeling we have the space just to be ourselves, that's the most amazing foundation for everything else. Because that helps foster self-acceptance, which fosters self-worth, which fosters self-trust, which fosters our ability to trust ourselves. All of these things that I talk about all the time on this show and that many of my guests talk about. So if you're not getting that from your coach and that's what you need, ask for it. Another reason some of us don't feel that we're enjoying our coaching relationship is because we accept things that our coach says to us and that our coach recommends when we don't really feel that it's right. Some of my most successful coaching relationships, when I've been the coach and then they've been the client, has been when the client has said, no, Catherine, you've completely misunderstood what I just said. What I actually felt was this. What I meant was this. Or where they've said, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel right, that thing you're suggesting. Or, no, I don't want to go and talk to that person about that because of whatever. And the reason that really lent itself to a very successful relationship is because, A, it informed me correctly. It corrected my misperception. But it also gave us the chance to talk about it. So I could say, okay, fair enough, you don't want to talk to that person. Why? Why not? What is it about that? And they might not fully realize why to begin with, but by discussing it, we can discover why that is. Oh, because if you do talk to them about that, they are bound to talk to the person number 3 about it, and that could cause a problem. Right. Okay. Excellent that we didn't go down that route. So what else could we do instead? What else might be a better way of addressing the situation? So the question then is, are you trusting yourself to say no to your coach and to challenge your coach and to say, No, I'm sorry, what you just said was complete that was complete reinterpretation of what I just said to you. It's not what I meant at all. So let me try again. Let me try saying it another way, and let's try and get to the bottom of this. So that's another aspect of really trusting yourself and remembering that you are the authority in the matter. Equally, if your coach recommends something to you or suggests a line of inquiry that you know you have already explored to the nth degree, tell them. Say to them, yes, that is fantastic advice, which I have already followed. And I've already done that. And actually, in fact, I got this information, that information, and I just really don't want to go there again. It just doesn't feel worthwhile. Again, they need to know that. So there are a number of ways, and it's always useful to ask if we're not really enjoying our relationship with our coach and we're not really enjoying the work, to ask ourselves, why is that? Have I asked for what I want? Am I saying no to my coach where I need to? Am I saying, actually, I've already done that to the nth degree when I need to? And am I agreeing to things with my coach that I don't really agree to? Because that's not going to work. I had one person had this with me, where each time we met, they would agree to go away and do certain things. And then next time we met, they hadn't done any of them. And one day I turned up and I handed them a sheet of paper. And on the sheet of paper, I'd typed out every single thing that they'd agreed to do over the period of a few weeks. Every single thing. I just handed it to them. I didn't say anything. And they read the sheet and they went, oh, this is not good, is it? I said, no, it's not good. What's going on? And they said, actually, I don't really want to do this. I'm only doing it because my boss recommended that I do some work with you. And I told them I would like to because that's what I thought they wanted to hear. I said, okay. Do you think your boss is impressed by you saying yes to something that you don't want to do? And they paused and said, probably not. And I said, do you think they know that you don't want to do this? And they said, probably. I said, okay, shall we stop? And maybe you go and have a chat with your boss and maybe reset that relationship, and stop saying yes to things you don't want to do. Anyway, we stopped the work at that point. And subsequently, I ed a message from them about 6 months later saying, thank you, that was really valuable. Being actually faced with it. They'd seen that they had a pattern of saying yes to people when they didn't mean yes. And actually, a lot of the time, people knew they were doing that and they were really unimpressed with this person. And he then changed his ways after that and became very successful at what he was doing. He actually left that business. He realized it wasn't the right place for him. Even taking the job on in the first place was him saying yes to something he didn't really want to do. And he went off and actually created a whole new role that hadn't existed before, an international role that hadn't existed before, and that gave him great prestige and great happiness. So it just goes to show, sometimes when we face these things, it makes such a difference. And of course, if you do say yes to doing something that the coach has recommended, or you come up with something together, an assignment or whatever, go and do it wholeheartedly, plunge into it, really do it fully, and notice the experience of doing it and track that as well, and come back and debrief. So those recommendations I've just given you may actually, if you're not having a good relationship with your coach, those might make the difference. And if they do, fantastic. If you're already getting a lot out of working with your coach, good for you, because you should be noticing that the time and energy and money you're investing into it is being repaid, way over repaid, in the results that you're getting in your personal life, in your work life, and wherever you're focusing with the work. Now, if you're not working with a coach at all, I would just like to remind you that it could be very beneficial if you're not already doing it. I've got various people who I work with who help me in a variety of different ways. And I'm extremely grateful for all of them. And every single one of them, the results I get as a result and the benefit it has for my life way exceeds the time and the money that is spent on it. So if you're in a situation where you know that you've got more potential, or you know that the situation you're in has more potential, or that the projects you're involved with have more potential, and if you feel that by investing in yourself and increasing your ability to draw on your own inner resources and to maximize the skills and potential that you already have, if you feel that there's scope there for growth and expansion, and that could help you be more successful, happier, more fulfilled, healthier, more in love, whatever it may be that's most of interest to you at the moment, then I really encourage you to seek out someone to help you to do that. Because that is the purpose of working with these people. It's to have more of what you want with less effort, with less time, and with less expenditure, through actually working your primary asset, which is yourself. And it should be fun. It should be enjoyable. It should be fulfilling. It should be interesting. So if you feel that's you, if you feel you're somebody who is not working with a coach at the moment, but you've got an inkling that actually you could leverage yourself more, then go out and search out and find somebody and keep screening until you find someone where you absolutely feel like, I cannot not work with this person. This is just such a good fit. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to love it, and I'm going to get so much out of it. And don't sign up with somebody before feeling that way about them, is my advice. And keep looking. There will be someone out there for you. They may be one of my guests that you've already tuned into, or it might be me. If it's me, get in touch and we'll have a chat. And I will never, ever try and persuade someone to work with me if I'm not absolutely convinced that it's a really, really good fit. Life is too short for that. Some people talk to me and we realize we're not a good fit, but I introduce them to somebody else. Or as a result of the conversation, they have more clarity about what they're actually looking for. And it helps them to go out and find that person. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please check out the other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. And like I said, get in touch anytime if you think you might like to work with me. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.